I went into journalism through my sense of insatiable curiosity. I started at school writing to people, they responded. I wrote to people when I was at university, I got to see them. I did interviews, and then I realised you could make money out of it too. And I sold my first interview with the painter Francis Bacon to the now defunct Now magazine, and it pretty much paid for my last term at university. Journalism is about trying to find answers. It's about questing. It's about trying to shine a light in places where you're not allowed to. It's a license to be a nosy Parker. And actually, there's a moral sense to it if one's going to be pompous. You do try and comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And it is that sense of being able to ask questions which need answers, and those answers aren't always comfortably given, but we need that quest in order to keep our society lit up by people who are prepared to find out what those in power don't always want to emerge. And that provides the foundations and the pillars of democracy. Journalism is also at times a tough business, asking difficult questions to people who don't want to give answers, and that needs a focus and that needs determination, and with many of our best investigative reporters it needs tremendous courage. And we've seen that with investigations which do change the way we look at how our country is governed. On the Mail on Sunday, where I've now been editor for 8 months or so, we've started a campaign to try and find out why the accident and emergency units are being cut down across the country. It's not a specific government policy, but it's happening incrementally, and it means lives are at risk. And we've had to use whistleblowers, we've had to have investigations, we've had to put resources to try to find out questions to the difficulty people have of trying to save the lives of those they love who are needing an ambulance and emergency beds. And that is an incredibly worthwhile thing to do. I began as a crime reporter in Deptford on the South East London and Kentish Mercury. I can remember covering murders, inquests, local crime courts, the magistrates' courts at Greenwich. And it's an extraordinary window into the very different sectors of society and how people do have trouble, sometimes trying to find justice, trying to find answers to questions which those in authority won't give them. And that can be as basic as, can I have access to the lift to get to my flat on the 17th floor where my disabled child or mother lives, and the council won't tell us and they won't repair it, and we, the local newspaper, find the answers, get the person to repair it, and you think, yes, there is something worthwhile happening. I mean, one of the great things about living in Britain is the variety of the newspapers, unpopular as that view may be to certain quarters. It is incredible. The difference is in focus and political slant and what interests them. And that breadth or width of different coverage means it's very difficult for the truth to sort of be hidden. And actually, with digital publishing, it means everything's permanently there. So there's now a sense of, if a court case is covered, it's not a one-day publication. It is there perpetually for everyone to read. At the Mail on Sunday, we have, with Mail Online, this incredible additional forum of 100 million people looking at our website, in addition to the 5 million who read the paper every Sunday. It is an enormous tanker with You magazine, with Live, with Review, and the main paper, and the sports section. All these things which do cover the vast range of things going on in Britain. It's a common criticism by people who come to this country that they are staggered at the variety and richness of the language and the energy and the variety of British newspapers. One of the extraordinary things about newspapers is that they are unique as a magnet for concentration of the reader. I mean, the average time it takes for people to read the Mail on Sunday is about 67 minutes. That's what people have, our research with focus groups has come across. Now, what makes that different from digital platforms is, of course, we're so speedily looking at things, and we roll the screen, or we press the button, or we move on, and there's that addictive sense of searching for what's next, or what's new, or what's happening, or what's updated. With a paper, there is that incredible variety of writers. From, with us, we have Craig Brown, I think the best book critic. With the Sunday Times, they have John Carey, or they have A.A. Gill. On the Daily Mail, they have Jan Moir. Again, they have Craig Brown. I mean, there is a fantastic richness of language, of views, of originality. And that is something really, I think, which needs to be cherished and to be enjoyed. I think the relationship between the commercial side and the newspapers has changed, in that the newspapers are having a difficult time. The amount of readers overall is going down. We're fighting to maintain readership, maintain circulation. We have to work harder, we have to think more creatively. And there is an increasing amount of sort of partnerships in some ways. I mean, always there will be church and state. Never will they be able to influence what goes on in the editorial pages. For instance, with our Jubilee coverage, we did a special magazine, and Berkeley Homes came and sponsored it. And they didn't want to change the way we did it. They wanted the association, they liked the association of the Mail on Sunday, they liked the connection with a story about the great celebration of the Queen's 60 years reign. It was them basking in us, and us basking in their money. And it was a perfect partnership of commerce and editorial. I mean, some people might say that newspapers and magazines are the crossroads between art and commerce, where the commerce is the advertising, which feeds the possibility of us having the ability to hire creative people in order to do what we do best, which is to hire great writers who will use their skills to tell us what's going on, to give us their views, to be able to give, whether it's colour pieces or reportage or features or interviews, to be a light on the world. I think the free model, when I was editor of the Standard, and it went free when I was there, it worked because it's got a local vicinity. And it's been a huge success. I mean, I remember we used to sell on a hot summer's day 700 copies at Oxford Circus Tube Station. And today, at that same tube station, we hand out 32,000 copies. So it's an incredible, it was amazingly, we were lucky and we were deft and we were entrepreneurial and we adapted. And we went from a business model where it used to cost us 36p per copy to get to the reader, each copy of the Standard. We got that down to 3p per copy to get to the reader. We changed the distribution model. We changed the sense for advertisers of the possibility of what they could do with the paper. In terms of reach, in terms of them accepting a higher yield, and them accepting that it was the greatest paper of the greatest city, and that benefited everybody. I mean, the great thing about the Mail on Sunday is that we are that immediate captive audience for Middle Britain. 5 million readers every single Sunday. It's about half and half men and women. Average age, very, very early 50s. So it's that buying power. And there's something very powerful about that audience, which is buying, mostly employed. It's a family paper. It's this huge juggernaut of information which can be the exact range of society that every political party wants to get across. Because it's it is Middle Britain. People say, who are the Mail on Sunday readers? I always think, I'm on an EasyJet flight, and I'm going to Spain or France or somewhere, and it's everyone who has an aspiration to travel, and yet they're completely indefinable. It might be a rich tycoon, or it might be someone who's saved up their air miles, or it might be someone who's anywhere in between there. It is that unpredictable, not to be underestimated, not to be patronised, to be valued, brilliant Middle Britain.